The name's Bond. James Bond. Hello, welcome back to Zekism. So, Sydney Sweeney is doing the press tour for Christie, her new boxing movie, which, I mean, she's being tipped for an Oscar in certain quarters. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't vouch for it, but she is getting some rave reviews, so you never know. Good for her. Sydney Sweeney is doing the press tour, and she's been asked about James Bond 26. Currently in development, Denis Villeneuve is directing. Stephen Knight, he of Peaky Blinders fame, and Star Wars briefly, or not so much, is writing apparently, and obviously produced by Amazon. I've made my feelings known on that, but she, Sydney Sweeney that is been asked about being the next Bond girl, and there is some speculation to justify why she's being linked with that. And here we are from the Radio Times. Sydney Sweeney breaks silence on James Bond 26 casting speculation, and she had fun with it. It was saying, I think I'd have more fun as James Bond personally. I'm sure that would go down well with certain people. Sydney Sweeney has responded to speculation that she could be cast as a Bond girl in James Bond 26. The rumour mill continues to whirl around who would be cast in the next 007 film after long-serving James Bond producers Michael Wilson and Barbara Broccoli announced they were handing over creative control of the franchise to Amazon MGM Studios earlier this year, a move which I really resented very much. I understand that they're old and they want to hand it off, but I mean, it is concerning. However, they did hire Denis Villeneuve and Stephen Knight, so go figure. Speaking of Variety in a new interview, Sweeney said, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know all the Bond rumours, but I've always been a huge fan of the franchise and I'm excited and curious to see what they do with it. Not exactly a no there. So I think you can say that she is either furthering the speculation or there is something to it, and she's, because otherwise you just say, nah, I'm not interested, I'm fine, I'll move on. So that's positive, I guess. Look, Sydney Sweeney is in vogue at the moment, as many people on the internet will tell you. She's the new, I don't want to say pin-up girl, but very much like sort of the what am I trying to say? She has drawn the eye of many a person on the internet. There you go. That's what I'll say. I'm a married man, so I'm not in that crowd. Seriously. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos reportedly wants Sweeney to play a Bond girl in the 2028 movie, according to the publication, but whether she wants to join the project will depend on the plot. It depends on the script, she said. I think I'd have more fun as James Bond, which is a fun little line in there. She's right to say that. It does depend on the script, and I think you shouldn't ever commit to being in something until you've seen one if you're an actor. That's just what you would do. Previous Bond girls have included Gemma Arterton, Ursula Andress, Eva Green, and Halle Berry, to name but a few. Rumours that Sweeney could be the next Bond girl intensified in June when she was spotted at Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding in Venice. A July report from The Sun suggested Sweeney is the top name on the casting sheet for the next Bond girl, and that she has the backing of Bezos and director Denis Villeneuve, I bet. So, where are we with this? I think there's clearly, there's no smoke without fire. I think it's not the first time, it's not the first time. This is what happens whenever a actress is the latest big thing. They are linked with James Bond. That's just what happens. It happened with her. Well, it happened. I'm trying to think. What happened with Eva Green, to name one. It happened with Ana de Armas in the last one, which, Bond 25, which name escapes me, and I really didn't enjoy that movie, so that's probably why I've forgotten about it. There's also been plenty of speculation around who will play the new Bond in James Bond 26. We'll briefly gloss over this, but it's not important for the story I'm telling. Director Denis Villeneuve will reportedly begin his search for the actor who will play the famed spy in 2026 after production wraps on Dune Part 3, according to a Deadline report from September. Villeneuve and his collaborators are reportedly looking for a fresh face for the role, an unknown who is in his late 20s or early 30s by the time the film shoots in 2027 for a 2028 release. The approach would rule out two popular fan castings, Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Jack Lowden, both are really good by the way, who would be 37 years of age by the time Bond 26 begins filming. I think both of those are phenomenal picks, and so it is a shame that they're going to be ruled out when it comes to age. The report also notes the actor will need to be male from the British Isles, which would rule out speculation with the likes of Timothy Chalamet, Glenn Powell, Austin Butler, Jacob Elordi, and others who don't hail from UK shores who could be in the frame for the role. Sorry to sound isolationist or picky. Yes, it should be a British actor. Hands down should be a British actor. Sorry, it should, and that's just the way it goes. It's a British franchise. It's forever been a British actor. Sorry, it should be a British actor. Sorry, there you go. That's all I'm going to talk about James Bond. Now, back to Sydney Sweeney. Whether she wants to take it or not, I think is up for debate. I think it's up to her whether she wants. If she wants it, I think they'll give it to her for sure. I think that's almost guaranteed at this point. And so I think you've got to think if she goes to the Amazon and say, "Yeah, I'll do that. Here's my fee." They'll pay it, and she'll be in it. She is the sort of latest. Yeah, I don't want to. You feel you're demeaning them as well by saying like they're the latest thing Hollywood. The latest Scarlett Johansson sort of figure, which is dare I say a pin-up. Although I don't want to disrespect her in that way, but she is. You can see the people online, mostly male, who are fawning over Sydney Sweeney. She's the latest sort of eye candy. Obviously, I'm not going to. I'll briefly mention the jeans fiasco of over the summer. My take on it was very funny. It was a funny controversy that sort of really spiraled out of hand at a time where there is genuine atrocities over the world, across the world at the moment. But yeah, we'll talk about a jeans advert. That's fine. Anyway, sorry, that's my take on it. Now, Bond girl. Some quarters think that the phrase Bond girl is disrespectful. They think the Bond girl is a demeaning tag given to actresses that sort of puts them down and means they're just sort of eye candy to be there, to be fawned over, and for James Bond to inevitably bed. Now, historically, that was true. But how true was that? Now, Empire did a great run. I mean, it's a little old now, but Empire did a great rundown of 5 decades of Bond girls. This goes up to 2008, so it doesn't include the actresses from... I guess Quantum of Solace that came out sort of that year. Was it 2008 that came out? I feel like that's true. There wasn't a Bond girl necessarily in Skyfall. I don't think there was one in Spectre necessarily, because it was the same. Oh gosh, what's her name? It's gonna kill me. What's that actress's name? The actress who played basically the mother of his child in the end. I'm gonna have to Google this, otherwise I'm gonna. Spectre. Hold please. Madeline, that's it. Madeline, played by Lea Seydoux. She was basically the Bond girl of the last 2 films, but you wouldn't call her a Bond girl by classic definition. She was definitely one who was, could kick ass, could beat you down, and was very emotive as well. It was a very well realised character in her own right. Obviously, I disagreed with the whole child thing, but whatever. That's just personal preference. But for the purposes of this conversation, we're talking about Bond girls. She was a Bond girl. Ana de Armas also was in that film as a ass-kicking secret agent. The new 007, played by the actress who plays Monica Rambeau in the MCU, again was a secret agent who kicked ass. The Moneypenny, played by actresses. So many actresses' names coming at me. Oh gosh, it's so many actresses. The Moneypenny. Naomi Harris, of course, from Pirates, predominantly is what I know her from. And that Moneypenny was legitimately just an ass kicker. She was great. So now the history of the Bond girls. Let's go back. We've got Honey Rider, Ursula Andress, 1962. I know, Dr. No I watched very recently because I've been rewatching the Bond films. She wasn't necessarily a damsel in distress type, but she wasn't really sort of one who would do any damage either. Pussy Galore was, I would advocate, certainly one who had her own mind. She definitely had agency, played by Honor Blackman, of course. Yeah, Pussy Galore was definitely, I mean, apart from the name, we can let's just ignore the names for the purpose of this conversation, because yes, they feel very dated, and yes, they were play on words of a certain nature. Okay, let's just get over that. Jill Masterson, I mean, she was unfortunately the victim of the gold paint. Kissy Suzuki, I don't remember her necessarily being very sort of, arse kicky. I think she was probably a damsel in distress type. Vesper Lind, more of the same. Tracy Draco. Okay, we are in the damsel in distress territory here with just sort of pretty girl on film territory. But I mean, Mary Goodnight was a bit of a joke character. Andrea Andes. Yeah, she was fine. I mean, Anya, there you go. Here's one who was actually genuinely scary. Holly Goodhead. That's another play on words. Yeah, she was a bit damsel in distressy, I've got to be honest. So yeah, the 80s and the 70s, and then you get to Mayday. Mayday was absolutely an arse kicker. Absolutely in charge of her own destiny. Absolutely not sort of, putting up with Bond's crap. She was her own character, and so she should. Played by Grace Jones, of course. One of the craziest Bond girls, it says here. That's an understatement. I love View to a Kill. It's one of the most unpopular ones, but I love it for that reason, because it's great. Pam Bouvier, this is from the Dalton era. I think she was definitely more damsel in distressy, if I'm honest. Xenia on the top definitely was a strong character. I mean, she was downright scary for many different reasons, which I won't go into, but many different. Wei Lin, absolutely an ass kicker, played by unbelievable Michelle Yeoh. I know I had to scroll down for the name just to help me. I'm old, people. Wei Lin, a brilliant character in Tomorrow Never Dies. Chinese secret agent. Yeah, brilliant. Paris Carver. Okay, they can argue that she was a strong character. I would say she's probably more damsel in distressy. She was the wife of the villain in that film. Again, sorry. Christmas Jones. Silly name. Bit of a rubbish character. Like Denise Richards, though I do. Yeah, that character was pretty damsel in distressy. Electra King was the actual villain of The World Is Not Enough. She was strong. I would argue she was strong. So, and Jinx from Die Another Day. That's it. Halle Berry was, CIA secret agent from what I remember. She was tough. She could handle herself. Vesper Lind didn't get into any fights that I remember in Casino Royale, but she was tough. She was tough, definitely. Agent Fields, played by Gemma Arterton. I mean, she was a secret agent. I don't remember her doing many fights, but she could have done it. And Camille, the Bond girl that he did not sleep with, even though they were setting it up, it was like the big twist of Quantum of Solace, that famous Bond film that everyone loved. Not affected by the writer's strike whatsoever. So I would say it's a mixed bag in terms of Bond girls being sort of damsel in distressy. Obviously, with modern times and modern sensibilities, the Bond girl pastiche or stereotype has been, I would say, nullified quite significantly. I think it's been a while since we've had a sort of damsel in distressy Bond girl. So I personally, I don't think the term is demeaning anymore. I think it's just, the actress that's in the film, and I don't think it necessarily, as proven by that list that we just saw, means that the Bond girl's just there to be fawned at and sleep with James Bond anymore, because they've got rid of that trope, I believe, successfully. Not to say that won't happen in the film, but you know what I mean. It is what it is. We're messing with sort of tropes here from a franchise that started in the 60s, and I would argue still has merit today. And I'll die on that soapbox. I really will. What do you think? Are you looking forward to the potential of Sydney Sweeney being the next Bond girl, or at least cast in the Bond movie? She could even be the villain. You never know. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Leave me a like or subscribe on the channel, please. That always helps. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.